Greetings, fellow Whovians, and welcome to Timey, Wimey Review. In tribute to the late John Challis, who sadly passed away a few weeks ago, today I review the classic Fourth Doctor story, The Seeds of Doom, originally broadcast on BBC One in January of 1976. This six-part adventure was part of the season finale of season 13 of classic Doctor Who. Just in case you don't know the plot, the Fourth Doctor and Sarah Jane Smith had been sent by UNIT to investigate some pods that had been discovered by scientists in the middle of Antarctica. The Doctor soon realised that the pods contain an alien race known as the Crenoids, one of the most dangerous species in the universe. Unfortunately, one of the pods falls into the hands of a botanist called Harrison Chase, a ruthless millionaire hell-bent on destroying the world as we know it. I want to start this review by talking about Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen's performances in this story. I felt that they were having the time of their lives. I liked that the Doctor was a bit more of an action hero in this story. It was quite violent in places, not for me to sort of judge what is too violent or not, but it's something that you probably wouldn't see that much of in modern Doctor Who. Here, he's kind of like a more kind of reminded me of John Pertwee, sort of Venusian karate action man, where Tom Baker is more the fisticuffs going off in there. If anything, it was pretty much kind of what you would see in the 80s with like the A-Team and Knight Rider, but here it fits well in this story. And yeah, to see sort of Tom punching Scorby and, you know, being quite violent and smashing chairs, holding a gun, crashing through a glass ceiling to rescue Sarah Jane Smith at the beginning of episode 4. In fact, the cliffhanger to parts 3 and 4, that was really good with Sarah Jane in peril. Yeah, it was just something quite interesting to see. And speaking of Elizabeth Sladen as well, I thought that Sarah Jane as a whole, as a character, has grown so much since when she started in The Time Warrior. And the barbs that the Fourth Doctor and Sarah were having with Scorby, it just shows how much those characters, particularly Sarah Jane Smith, has grown over the last few seasons of classic Doctor Who. Speaking of Scorby, this is a very memorable performance by John Challis in this story. Scorby is the henchman to Harrison Chase, but he does have his own characteristics. He will save his own skin when things get a bit too hot to handle, but he does have that tough, sort of violent attributes really in this story. You know, he will take things to the extreme, and you can see why John had such a career that he did in TV, and particularly in comedy in Only Fools and Horses. So yeah, a great performance, and John is going to be sadly missed. There is so many great performances and great characters in this story, but the highlight for me is Tony Beckley's performance as Harrison Chase. He's pretty much a supervillain. That's something out of James Bond, but he plays it so straight-laced. I love it. As particularly, like I was saying in episode 4, in that action scene where the Doctor duffs up Scorby. I love Tony's delivery when he says to the Doctor, "And what will you do for an encore?" And I do like the reply that Tom Baker said with, "I win." Yeah, Harrison's motives are bonkers, but you can kind of justify it to a certain degree in terms of, you know, keeping plant life beautiful and keeping nature as it is. But in terms of sacrificing all human life and animal life, maybe not so. It is very much you know, crazy sort of ideas going on there. And I just like how he kind of, towards the end of it, he's kind of just giving himself to the Crenoids, and just he believes everything that he thinks he's doing is the right thing. It's just a crazy but brilliant character to play. Seeds of Doom is influenced by the movie The Thing from Another Planet, but I also got the feeling of an espionage type story in this as well, particularly in the first 3 episodes out of the 6-part adventure. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good sort of build up to the story and had a good payoff towards the end. Mix that with the horror elements that you got throughout season 13, you can see why this is quite a popular time for Doctor Who. It's pretty much one of the classic golden ages of Doctor Who. The production values for the Seeds of Doom are of a high quality, helped by the fact that they used videotape for the outside scenes using outside broadcasting rather than 16mm camera. I always felt that when they used those, particularly in the 70s, it just worked and just made it a lot more believable and kind of what you see towards the end of the classic Who run. There's some great special effects as well, particularly the explosion of the Antarctica base and even the model helicopter as well, landing and taking off from the Antarctica base. It's something that you would probably expect Derek Meddings to do in Thunderbirds or even bigger movies like Star Wars or Superman. But to have that here in Doctor Who, it worked really well. And the explosion of the house when the Crenoid kind of takes over, and even the Crenoids themselves with the big sort of tentacles, it all looks quite realistic, coupled together with the shots of the planes and the jet fighters that they used. I think sort of like stock footage, wherever they got that from. It all just blends really well and just gives that story that extra boost. I'm going to give The Seeds of Doom a TARDIS rating of 7.5 out of 10. I had a lot of fun with this 6-part adventure. It was a great script by Robert Banks Stewart, who also wrote Terror of the Zygons, so it was fitting that he managed to somehow write the season 13 opener and the season 13 close of classic Doctor Who. Coupled together with it being produced by Philip Hinchcliffe, happy birthday to Philip from a few days ago, by the way, and Douglas Camfield directing this story. He got a great set of work, really, I think, from Douglas, from the cast of characters and actors as well, and had a really good eye for action. Yeah, he is certainly a Doctor Who legend, and it was sad that this was his final story for Doctor Who. It would have been great to see him do a few more for the Tom Baker era and maybe for the Peter Davison era. Great pacing, a fine balanced story, I would say, between build up and payout. Build up for episodes 1, 2 and 3, and the payout for 4, 5 and 6. And yeah, all these combined is a great recipe for a classic Doctor Who story. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on The Seeds of Doom. Where do you rank that in season 13 of classic Doctor Who? Or is it one of your favourite stories from classic Doctor Who? Next time on Timey Wimey Review, throughout October I will be doing my very own horror season, starting with the 10th Doctor story, Midnight. Until then, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. Please like the video, share the video and subscribe to the channel. And as the good doctor once said, greed, the most powerful influence in the universe.